Respected participants, good morning and welcome to the one-day webinar titled Remote Learning, a Paradigm Shift, organized by the Department of English and IQAC team of Loganatha Narayanasamy Government College, Ponneri, Tamil Nadu. Before requesting Dr. R. Gaurishankar, Assistant Professor and Head Department of English, to welcome the gathering, I would personally like to record our sincere gratitude to our beloved principal, Dr. D. Segar sir, for being instrumental in organizing the event. The webinar sessions will formally begin with a welcome address. It will be followed by the presentation by Dr. ARAVINDAN BALAKRISHNAN, Nizwa College of Technology, Oman. Hello, sir. Presentation will be followed by an answer session. During the co-presentation, post your queries. The queries posed by the participants must have their name and must be clear and precise. Please note, the queries posed by the participants will be taken up for discussion only after the presentation by the resource person. Another important information for the participants, the link to feedback form will be made available in the chat box during the session after 11:30 a.m. The participants are requested to submit the feedback form with email address and other details without any error. The details entered in the feedback form will be used for sending the e-certificate. Now, I request Dr. R. Gaurishankar, Head Department of English, to deliver the welcome address. Thank you.
Good morning, one and all. Good morning, one and all. Connected here for the webinar of the English Department of LNG College, Ponneri. For this, we are connected from the remote places, and the topic is so apt: remote learning, a paradigm shift. Way back in 1985, the initiation was started by San Pitrado, the Chief Executive Officer of CDOT, who started this kind of interactive learning, teaching outside the classroom. My fraternity of teaching community used to make a reference casually. Cooking become flameless, telephone become cordless, tire become tubeless, entering a car become keyless. Why can't be there a classroom without a teacherless classroom? So long back, this was ignited, and this current world lockdown has opened up many avenues, and we are today interacting through web. I am immensely happy to welcome our respected and beloved principal, Dr. D. Segar sir, who is a progressing propeller of all the constructive ideas of LNG College, who ignited the idea with the noble minds, and this webinar has become instrumental. I cordially welcome the speaker of today, Dr. Aravindan Balakrishnan, a senior faculty member of English, Nizwa College of Technology, Sultanate of Oman, who was so courteous and accepted our request and consented to give a talk today. I heartily welcome the members of English department and the other faculty, members of faculty of other departments, for their compliments and blessings for the successful conduct of this seminar. My happiness doubles in inviting a team of IQAC members who gives us not only motivation but also the technical support for the successful conduct of the event. I also invite the registered participants for this seminar. Once again, I welcome you all with the note, we are all teachers. We have to learn a lesson every day. Thank you and have a safe stay.
Good morning once again. It is now the introduction to the speaker. It is indeed a great honor to introduce the resource person of the day, Dr. ARAVINDAN Balakrishnan. Dr. ARAVINDAN Balakrishnan is a PhD qualified EFL ESL teacher with extensive experience in teaching English to speakers of other languages. He is skilled to offer engaging, inspiring lectures and resources for optimized student results. He is an accomplished EFL ESL teacher with 22 years of experience in the effective teaching in Libya and Oman. Dr. ARAVINDAN Balakrishnan shows great dedication and commitment in improving students' communication skills through his motivational leadership and exceptional attention to details across multiple levels of students. Dr. ARAVINDAN Balakrishnan is associated with English Language Center, Nizwa College of Technology, and Sultanate of Oman under the aegis of Directorate of Technical Education, Ministry of Manpower. He is earlier served as the Faculty of English Language Studies, Al Nasser Campus, Al Fateh University, Tripoli, Libya. He was instrumental in setting up a language laboratory way back in 2001, the first of its kind in Coimbatore in Sri Ramakrishna Engineering College. He has published many papers in national and international journals. He has presented many papers in the in-house activities organized by the English Language Center. At present, he is engaged in a research project funded by the Research Council of Oman. Being a webinar enthusiast, he has given a number of presentations through webinars, and we deem it as a great honor that we have him today as a resource person. I now invite Dr. ARAVINDAN Balakrishnan to deliver the webinar address titled Remote Learning, a Paradigm Shift. Over to Dr. ARAVINDAN Balakrishnan.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, sir. Good morning, all of you. Thank you, the principal of the college, head of the department, other faculty members of IQAC. Okay, let's move into the topic there. So kindly share the screen. Yeah, thank you. My audio is audible to you, isn't it?
Sir, can you please move a little closer to your mic so that you can be, the audio will be slightly better.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Or I think I can take off the headphones. Is it okay now?
It's okay now, sir. It's much better now.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So just as the topic goes, remote learning, and that's what we are all doing now from our homes, wherein all the subjects in the school levels or in the college or any subject there may be, the teachers, the people are all involved in, either the students or the teachers are all involved in remote learning. Remote learning is not a new term. The name has been slightly, the word has been changed, that's all. People termed it as online learning. That's a better term to be used, but there is a slight difference in the word remote learning and online learning, right? So that will be dealt in the slides thereafter. Let's see that. So this is a presentation scheme of my webinar there, and we will be dealing with the following areas where I'll be explaining you remote learning, what, why, and how. The next one will be the differentiation between remote learning and online learning, and the paradigm shift. The next one will be remote learning. Here I would like to focus on its the four aspects, like strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats of the remote learning. Because any technology that comes into our room has its own advantages and disadvantages. So I thought of just giving an insight into the four areas of remote learning, and the last one I would like to give an highlight on the tools for remote learning and teaching. the tools that are required for the teachers and the tools that are required for the students. And it might be a little bit difficult for the teachers as well as the students, because the area is different, the learning capacity is different of the students, and the tools that we can use for the students might be different from one area to the other area, or one curriculum to the other curriculum. So many things are put into these things, and let's explore those things. All right, let's move to the next slide. So here goes what is a remote learning. Many of you would have heard of the term online learning. Online learning means you use a laptop or a mobile to learn with that technology. That's all we know that. But here there is a little bit of or a kind of explanation that goes into this. Here we can see that a student and an educator or the information source is not physically present. That is the main thing that we have to note here. The teacher is not physically present, the student is not physically present, or the resource is not physically present. It means the classroom setup is absent, not like a traditional classroom. The information is relayed through technology, such as we can use discussion boards, like we can use video conferencing, like Google Meet or Zoom, or many things are there. That will be dealing in the tools section, last slide, okay? And the online assessments also are made with these technologies. The another point that we have to note here in remote learning is that it can occur synchronously and asynchronously. Both can be happening there in remote learning. This remote learning is also referred to as a distance education, or it can be termed as a virtual instruction, or it can be termed as a remote training. A remote training is an aspect that is normally dealt in company scenario, wherein the HR manager wants to give training to number of participants who cannot come to the company, or there is no facility for the company to give training for such a large number of people. They do it in a remote training mode through this remote learning for all the people there, right? Next, the question is, why remote learning? This remote learning provides an opportunity for students and teachers because they are remained connected and engaged with the content while working from their homes. Yeah, teachers sit there in their homes, and the students are sitting in their homes or in the other places, for instance. And this remote learning is happening between them, which is once again we can term it as online learning, right? Opportunities are there in remote learning for typically linked to emergency situations that pose a threat to the student safety. Yeah, this last point is very important. A threat to the student safety, not only for the student safety, even for the teachers or the parents who are there in this present COVID-19 situation. Because we are not allowed to go outside to meet other people, or to we have to maintain the social distancing, everything there. So this is the best option that comes into the limelight, is remote learning. With that, the teachers can accomplish their tasks, what they want to do, and they can teach, they can give a lecture, they can show a video, they can even test assessment, everything can be done. But the only drawback is there that will deal with the threats and other things there, right? Okay, don't. Fine. Right. Yeah. Remote learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. There you can see that there's a picture just giving there. It's a description giving there that the student is alone there, right? He doesn't have any friends or other things, but he is connected with the teacher and his friends. That's all. Physically, no one is there in that. Right. The next one is, how is remote learning done? This can be done through two methods. One can be synchronously. It can be done with the virtual classroom approach, where you can use the Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams, Cisco WebEx, and now the one that I am presenting to you is Webinar Jam. That also can be included in this, right? The remote learning can be done in the second method asynchronously. It can be held like a traditional method that you are doing with an e-learning setup, which can also be called as a blended learning. Okay, with a Google Classroom, Mastery Connect, Moodle, and these things. The difference between synchronous and asynchronous is that there it's like a live lectures wherein It's in the scheduled hour. For example, 8 o'clock you have this English class, 9 o'clock you have another class, like that. It's all scheduled, and it is within the time frame where the student has to sit attentively and then listen and learn and get the crux from the teacher and other things. Asynchronously is like once again an online learning type, but here the student, what he does is he can, according to his learning pace, he can do that. He can watch the videos repeatedly, once, twice, thrice, and he can attempt the quizzes one time. If his score is less, he can just do the exercise once again and get a better score, so that he learns them continuously. Okay, that's the difference between synchronous learning and asynchronous learning, right? Okay, let's move to the next one. Here, there is I told you that there is a small difference between remote learning and online learning. That's what is given here. You can see that remote learning recreates a classroom environment virtually. This is a wonderful thing here, right? Students, they see the teacher in the classroom. The students can just just see the teacher through virtually, right? That's it normally. And they can see their friends also there. They can learn just like the classroom setup, but which is not physical. That's what is. Okay. The students, each student is given an account in Google Classroom or any platform that the school or the college or the teacher decides there. And then they are logging into that, and then scheduled times are there to view the lectures. At this time, you have to complete the assignment. At this time, you have to watch the video. You have to respond to the video. You have to give feedback to that. All these things are happening in the remote learning environment. Even group participation also can be done, even group discussion, or just like a topic given to, or you can divide the classroom, virtual classroom. For example, if there are 30 or 40 students available there, you can divide the students into small subgroups, like 5 or 6 students in a small group, and each group can be given a topic to learn that, and this happens there in remote learning. That's it. Next, we move on to the online learning environment, wherein this is entirely online. You know that the word online goes there. The courses in online learning uses video lectures, recorded ones, or self-paced courses. Anything that you take into instance. For example, many websites on these days are offering free online courses that you can learn at your own pace. I would like to quote an example. I would like to give an example of a website called futurelearn.com. If you log into that, get registered and log into that, and you can see that it offers many courses for varied categories of students and varied subject genres, and even for English language teaching or English language learning or literature or anything that you want, you can go into that and browse the courses, so that you get into that. Your course is decided, it is given to you, but you learn it in your own pace, just to know the knowledge, or if you want to get a certification also, you can do that. Okay. Online education options move students towards certification or a degree. Yes. There are some online courses wherein you can just learn what is there in that, but if you want to go for a certification, you can even go with that. But the certification or the degree that you want to take might cost you a little bit. Not much as like the college where you join and then pay the fees for a certain number of years. But here it will be like some $30-40 like that for the whole course, like that. Okay, so that's an one example that I've given you for online learning, futurelearn.com, right? There are many humpty number of websites offering these things there in that. Even another thing I can tell you, like edweb.net. Okay, edweb.net. Even in that, you can just register into that, and then the topics that are varied in that you can just go into. And if you want to learn something about reading or listening or something like that, you can just browse the lectures, videos available there. Either you can attend online, or if you miss that day, you can go to the next day, and then you can just watch the video to get the meaning and the other things. Okay, fine. Next, sometimes these online courses are designed for adult learners who want to develop their skills. Yeah, especially some people who are working and cannot attend classes elsewhere in the evening or in the part-time courses, they can get into this online learning so that they can develop a new skill either for their own purpose or for their promotion or for increment in their job, in their workplace. Okay, all these things. So this remote learning is different from an online learning in that sense, especially. Okay, fine. Next, we move to the next one. Right. Here I have given you a picture. Just want to know what this picture means. Can you tell me that? I think in the chat you can know. You can put in the chat now. Okay, I'll go ahead, no problem. This, you can see some planes flying here, and there is one plane which goes across that. This is the word that I wanted to mention here is paradigm shift. These are the set of rules that you are laying, and then you are just going across, just like the traditional classroom way of teaching there. But here it's a huge leap that comes over here. That's why I wanted to mention in this picture. That's what paradigm shift means. All right, let's move to the next thing. Paradigm shift in remote learning. How I'm going to link this paradigm shift in remote learning. Just in the 2 or 3 slides before, I have mentioned what is remote learning, and I've given you the difference between remote learning and online learning, right? But now, the word paradigm shift, what does it mean and how that is related to remote learning? Let's see that. Paradigm is defined as a framework of unwritten rules which demand actions. Yes, for remote learning, the teacher demands an action from the students. It means that they have to respond through what they have learned through some writing work or some answering the questions on the screen, something like that. This shift occurs when one paradigm loses its influence and another takes over. Yeah, this online learning was very successful, and people are doing it not only now, but even previously. But this remote learning has taken a very fine shape these days because of the lockdown, right? And teachers also find it very sometimes easy to communicate with the students, to teach them or give a lecture or anything like that there, right? And the students also feel at ease, need not get ready, need not travel from one place to another place for the lecture. They can sit at their home in their own pace. They can learn, they can do what many sort of things are there, right? Okay, but all these things we'll discuss in the analysis. Okay, strength, weakness, opportunity, and those things. Right. This paradigm shift can happen only when there is a new technology introduced. Yeah, in remote learning nowadays, the teachers as well as the educators are all experimenting which platform will be very useful for the students, for my own students. Yeah, because they know their students, which one will be very better for them to learn all these things. They experiment there, and then they set up a classroom. They put all the students into a group and then ask them to learn everything, right? The example that I have given here is that the internet created a paradigm shift in the way business is conducted. It can be business or it can be a classroom session, anything, but I have given as a business. Why? Because you can see that earlier business were done from door to door, or people can go meet other companies and like that. But nowadays it's all virtual. Anything that you want to put across the table, just you can put a presentation or a video or slides or anything there, and then you can post it in your blog or web or anywhere, and the other people can see that. Just like that, the teachers, what they want to do, they can put everything there in the students' platform so that the students can learn on their own there, right? So fine. Let's move on to the next slide, wherein the newspapers are talking about the paradigm shift in the remote learning. This I have given an excerpt from the Indian Express, the latest one, April edition. Online classes, why teaching and learning remotely is a learning experience for all. It has given a very clear, beautiful article on this, how this remote learning is taking a very fine shape in bringing the students together for global cause, not only in India, everywhere, right? And here I have given a document about remote learning, distance education, or online learning. These are the three things happening at present in the world during the COVID-19 pandemic. A resource list by the World Bank's ED team. If you type in this keywords in the website, you can get the report there. Here there is a PDF, you can see that. Complete report in English, wherein they have listed out all the important sources for the students globally of all the languages. That is the main thing here. If you want to look into something that is related to Hindi or Sanskrit or English that you want, what sources and which level of students they are, you can just go into that, and then you can see the sources of the learners, the learning sources available there. And which suits your students, you are free to download anything from that, and then you can make use of that in your classroom. That's a report given by the World team. Let's move on to the next one that we have. Yeah, the important part of our we can say operation. Yeah, the strength, opportunity, weakness, and threats. Anywhere in a thing, we can have the of employee in a company will be normally done, but here I would like the same analysis, not a technical one, but just mentioning some points over all these categories. That's what I have done here, right? Okay, fine. The strength of remote learning. We would like the first category is that, and you can see access to resources. Yeah. The students are given access by the teachers, or the students even on their own, just they can browse the internet, or if with the guidance of the teachers, they can browse the links that are sent online to their screen, so that they can additionally add some more learning things to their knowledge. That can be done there, access. Okay. And next one is creative teaching. This also can, creative teaching also can happen, wherein you use the critical thinking skills of the students in virtual classroom. This is normally done in traditional classroom, but even then the same thing can be used in a virtual classroom mode. So you can just post a picture on the page of your screen. The teacher can put that, and the students also can view that, and then you can record the responses either in the way of a chat, or you can ask them to speak over, or you can ask them to type in a Word file and then ask them to send that to the teacher, so that we can know the students' responses in that way, right? This is a kind of thing that the teachers can build. This is one method I just given as an example for a creative teaching. There are many number of ways in which every teacher can experiment, and they can according to their students' needs, they can create their own topics and then other things, right? The next one that we can see the strength of remote learning is that it's a greater flexibility. That's a very easy aspect there. For example, in a classroom situation, you can find that the student is hesitant to answer or speak in front of others or like that. But here in this, it has a flexibility of having the one student to one teacher. He can talk and the other students cannot listen. Many options are there with the softwares and other things there. And the next thing that can come into this is the timing also. The students can watch the recorded lectures at the time, or a little later they can repeat that. All these things are there for the greater flexibility there. The next one comes into this is a significant cost savings, right? teacher's point of view as well as a student point of view, cost savings can mean that by commuting from one place to another place, yeah, the student has to start early in the morning from their home to reach the college. They have to take at least 45 minutes or 1 hour in the bus or train. In Indian scene, I'm telling you, right? And all these things related to the teachers also, they can cost saving. Even the institution these days or can save a lot of money by the internet charges, the electricity charges, and the other things. All these can be cut down because of this remote learning, right? Next, convenient learning. Yeah, this timing is there in this. Students can learn at their own convenient time because the teacher knows which student is average or below average, and that they can give a little more timing for those students who are having a little bit of learning disability or little learning capacity is very less. They can give more timing for these students like that. Okay, fine. Next, increased engagement. Yeah, there are more the students can get engaged with the teacher, wherein they can ask doubts, clear everything there in their own pace, and it might not disturb the other students there, right? Concentration also can be improved. If the student has an interest over the subject and he likes the subject, or if he likes the way the teacher is presenting, all these things involved in the student's concentration there, right? The concentration in the classroom may be having some distractions. Even in the remote learning also, students have some distractions there. But even still if you kindle the interest in the student will certainly be so much attached to the screen, and then he can continuously concentrate on what the teacher is presenting there, right? Next, the assessments area is very easy for the teachers to do that. It is a very good strength that the remote learning is having there. We can see easier assessment is like the teacher can give a quiz related to quiz can be done in any subject in Google Forms, and then the teacher can set up the question, the quiz, the options, everything there. Can be a multiple choice question, so that the teacher gets when the student responds and submits the answer, the score immediately comes on to his screen. So the assessments are very easy. We can test the reading, listening, and other things. Speaking is slightly difficult there for testing. And for writing, I think there is no software or platform or any tool available to correct automatically, because it involves a descriptive writing. Certainly the teacher has to download the file and then just correct, or they can use it online, but it takes a little time, and the teacher has to be a little techie savvy, right? So that's the thing there. And the next one is a self-disciplined. Yeah, this is the strength of remote learning. The teacher as well as the student has to be self-disciplined. He has to, for example, the time is at 8 o'clock. He has to come there, log into his system. He has to put the attendance and sit there, and then he has to switch on the video and be ready, so that he now automatically his way of discipline develops there to listen to the lectures offered virtually there, right? So these are the strengths that I will list out here. There are maybe many more, but what is that the present scenario that is going on there? We have put all these things here, right? Let's move on to the next slide, wherein we have the weakness of remote learning, right? The weaknesses are the accessibility. Yes, that is the main thing that comes into can be termed as a problem for the teachers as well as the students. For example, if I'm now giving a presentation on a remote learning, and you're all listening to that. Suppose if there is a problem in the internet, in my side or your side, or in between, anywhere happens, you cannot listen to the lecture there. If it is not a recorded one, you'll all feel panic a little bit. Oh, the thing has gone. What the teacher was saying, I didn't know that. All these things, you'll be having that kind of tension will be there in that. So accessibility is that you don't have the connection, or sometimes you don't have the necessary equipment for using that. For example, you have a mobile phone which doesn't accept Google Drive or the platform that the teacher specifies you, which you cannot download or not compatible with this thing. All these things are there, right? The next point that comes here is computer literacy. Yeah, these days, even people who are not learning computer science, especially as a basic course, the teachers and the students are involved into like a kind of like a marathon, we can say, updating their technical knowledge, and the students are also updating their technical knowledge in that. The computer literacy, yes. The teacher these days, even if they don't know, those persons who have not used even a Word file nowadays has to learn at least how to click the button, move the next one, see the students, all these things they have to learn so that they can present their classroom virtually, and the students also can ask doubts, raise doubts, and if they ask any questions related to that, the teacher should be able to answer that. That's the next one is the limitations of technology. We cannot use all the things available there in the world to our students. What is required to our students? We have to first of all study that, and we have to tailor make it to adapt to our students. That is very, very essential for this. That's the limitations of the technology. Requires a self-directed learners. Yes, in the school you can see that, or in the college you can see the teachers giving kind of warning to the students who are not listening to the class or all these things like that. But in the virtual classroom, the thing is that the student is, for example, mutes the camera, video camera, and then he can move around in the house here and go. He can go everywhere in the house. The sound will be coming there. The teacher will be talking, and these things happen there. So the weakness is that the students will not be completely listening to the teacher. We can tell that. Limitations for hands-on learning. Yeah. For example, if you want to experiment anything there, or if you want to show some practical things to the students, this can happen only in the traditional classroom, wherein in the virtual classroom, the teacher can post a recorded video of their own presentation, or they can show a video of how the practical can be done, only that. But whether the student has understood and how the student is going to perform the practical or the experiment is a little bit difficult, right? In a traditional classroom, it's quite easy, and in the virtual classroom, it's slightly monitoring and everything is a little bit of difficult one. Right? Next one, lack of social interaction. Yeah, you can see in when the teacher in the class is not there, or if the teacher goes and the next teacher comes over there, there's a gap of 5 minutes or so. The students talk with them, other friends in the classroom. But here, there is a lack of social interaction. Everyone is sitting before the laptop or the mobile phone virtually. The teacher is also connected only virtually, but they are not physically connected. So there is no interaction. They can talk with the students, or they can talk with the teachers, but there is the social interaction that happens in the traditional classroom will not have that effect on the virtual class. That's what I wanted to mention here. There is a high chances of distraction. That's what I said. Because if you are using a mobile phone for your virtual classroom, the WhatsApp messages or the Facebook notifications or the YouTube subscribed notifications, everything that pops up on your screen while you are there in the virtual classroom will surely distract. Oh, this message has come from my friend. What will I do? Okay, let me open that, and then even the video is on, the audio is on. You just have the temptation to get into that kind of thing. If it is a mobile phone, even in the laptop, all these virtual technologies have their own disadvantages, right? That's a thing that it can be. The next point is a sense of isolation, right? Students just sit before the system, feeling that they are connected with the teachers, but it's a kind of an isolation. They sit idle there. Learning is happening there, but a kind of isolation is there. They don't mingle with the other students. They don't talk with the other members of the family in their home. All these things. The last point that I want to discuss in the remote learning in the weaknesses section is that its responsibility lies with you. If you are a good student, you have to be very, very responsible in your work that you are doing virtually. Okay, please don't think that The students, when they are learning, they should not think that they are not being watched or they are not being assessed like that. Okay, everything is done there because the recording is going on, everything is there. So the students, the responsibility of learning virtually lies with the students. Okay, let's move on to the opportunities that we have for remote learning. The teachers can use the local or up-to-date content, okay, pertaining to their area or their students' interest. They can update their content according to their local needs of the students, right? Next one is the flip the classroom. You can see the traditional classrooms scenario has changed now. The college has come to your home, and the exercise that you do at the classroom, okay, all these things have changed. That's another term of a flipped classroom here, right? Another thing that we have opportunities to make the students understand or make your students or to grab the attention of your students. You can blend your online learning with the gaming. Some small games that the students might be interested in, or some small games which you introduce in the classroom virtually can make the students a little bit more attentive to your lectures. That things can be done there, because a study shows that the listening capacity of a student is not more than maybe 5 minutes or 15 minutes, to say that. Or these days it's all related to the technology, so that it's like 30 seconds maybe, because in the WhatsApp status you have only 30 seconds there to view a video or anything, that it is trimmed there. So your listening capacity is also trimmed here for a webinar or a virtual classroom, so that the concentration drops down very fast for the listeners. So you have to better make them aware of the lectures, or you have to make them listen to you. You have to introduce some small gamings in the online, right? The next point that we can see here is those students who are illiterate. It means that those students who can handle technology very well, they can teach the other students. So now they become the teachers automatically, so that they make the other students of their peers to their level, so that every student is ready to listen to the lectures of the teachers. It can even generate money also for that. Financially you can improve yourself in that case. The next point is that make the learning experience interactive to the subject that you think in. What you are going to teach, better the students should know beforehand, and introduce some gamings and introduce some related activities that the students can involve in that subject that you are going to teach, so that they get a kind of a blend between that subject and the teacher and themselves. The last point in this opportunities that we have here is possible to learn on location, do testing, give each other feedback, and very forth. Yeah. For example, in a speaking class, if the teacher wants to the teacher wants to give a feedback for the speaking that a student has done, that video can be posted there, and the teacher can give a feedback. It can be an audio feedback, or it can be a written feedback. And even the teacher can allow the other students who are listened to that lecture, or to the speaking activity, the other students also give their feedback, either directly or in the forums that the teacher has introduced to the students for virtual learning, right? So the last one that we have here is the threats for remote learning. Okay. The threats are access to the technology. Once again, just like the strengths to the access to the technology, we have a weakness related to, not weakness, it's a threat to the access to the technology. Here what I mean is that access to the technology is that it should be a standard one, or it should be a confined one, right? It should not lead to the unwanted things for the learning things happening there. The next one is competency among the faculty and staff. here the threat here means that the faculty, if they are not up to date in their technical knowledge, the staff, especially the staff there has to update. As I told you earlier, people who are not even used the Microsoft Word are nowadays learning more things more than the computer teacher. Like that, they have to be updated to the local needs and the advancements that is happening globally to make them aware, the students, to learn in the virtual classroom, right? Next comes there is measuring and assessing the learning outcomes. For any curriculum that is there in the college or in the school level, the assessing the learning outcomes is a difficult part in remote learning that I would like to mention here, and measuring the students level also. For example, if you conduct written test in the college for 1 hour or 3 hours, the students come there, sit there and write all the answers there in the paper, and then the teacher is correcting it and awarding marks related to the answers given by the students here. But this kind of descriptive writing assessing is not possible in remote learning virtual classrooms, because it's as I mentioned to you earlier, there is no perfect software. Might be there, but I'm not sure of that. There is no perfect software that can deal with the descriptive writing and evaluate the students' papers to give you the answers. Okay, that's fine. The next one is includes the remote learning here includes IQ but not EQ. What does it mean? The intelligent quotient of any student is tested by their learning ability, their quizzes, answers, whatever they do online with the teacher. That can be tested, everything there, but not the emotional quotient. Only that this emotional quotient is a threat, because the student can be a very good listener. He can participate in the classroom virtually very good, no problem at all. But if he is emotionally weak, or if he is not strong enough to communicate or put across every message what he means, he can answer just mechanically, but he cannot communicate. That kind of emotional quotient is a threat in the remote learning there. The next one is influence on the skills that are developed by the learners. The skills what the teacher wants the students to learn might be happening in the virtual, in the traditional classroom. Well, the way of discipline, you have to sit like this, all these things, everything matters there in the classroom. But the same thing cannot be expected there in the virtual, in the remote learning scenario, right? The last one that I want to mention in this threats is that it's stealing of information or cyber attacks. This is another thing about the platforms that we are using for nowadays to learn remotely, like webinar sessions, so Google Meet, Zoom, or anything that we are using there. All these things, we think that it's okay, but there are some threats related to that, which I'll give to you in the next slide. You can see that. So all the office people, teachers and students nowadays are working from their home, isn't it? And these, you can see that the report given by, I think, McAfee, the McAfee director has given a report that the cyber attacks has gone around 630%, not 100%. It's 630%. It has raised up. You can see that that's given here. The report says during the first quarter of this year, Cisco, Webex, Zoom, Microsoft Teams increase of up to 600% in usage. People are nowadays globally using all these things there. And you can see in the last line here on the slide, the 630% over than the users, it has increased. The hackers have increased now. Okay, so this is a kind of a technological boon that we have in remote learning, as well as a threat there for this. Even our videos and other things can be recorded or hacked by the hackers here. The next one, that the final one that we are going to see here is that it's tools for remote learning and teaching. The tools that I have specified here is only a small portion of that, not an exhaustive list I have given here. It's like what specific content you are going to teach there. According to that, you have to make your presentations or the curriculum fit into that one. Okay, here is an example I again you there. It's cambridgeinternational.org programs and qualifications, wherein you can have a number of programs given there by this in this website. You can see all those programs tailor-made according to the students' need and their level also, right? Fine. So the next that I want to put forth here is that the tools that facilitate discussion and collaboration for the teacher to teachers, teacher to student, or student to students. The collaborative learning will pave way for a more kind of integrated learning there. These are the tools I have listed down here, which can be used for the collaborative learning or collaborative discussion. Flipgrid. So the screen looks like this here. I have given a snapshot of it. The next one that you have here is a Padlet. You can have that here. Paper. Padlet you can have here, and the next one is you can have KLO education, wherein it helps the students to get the core of issues they are discussing. Okay, whatever they want to discuss with their students, like criticism. Single. The next one is like explain everything. This one is like turn ideas into understanding. Whatever you have there related to your assignment or anything else there, this turns ideas into understanding. Teach present, sketch more, create videos, and work together. Okay, the complete online and mobile whiteboard application. This is another kind of new thing that the students can learn wonderfully there in this platform. And the next one is Edu Creations. This is a unique interactive whiteboard wherein it can screencast tools that's simple, powerful, and easy to use. Okay, it can annotate, animate, and narrate any type of content there. Even the student want to write an assignment and submit, he can do that there very, very clearly. Okay, the next one is tools that allow you to create interactive learning quizzes and games. So as I said, a little bit of games introduction in your online learning to the students will surely bring a wonderful lesson or lesson learning for the students there, right? So you can use the apps like Kahoot. It's like a learning game wherein you can create small quizzes like vocabulary quizzes or what they have learned in the previous class. You can just wanted to refresh their minds. You can do that with all these things. And the next one is Socrative. It's a classroom app. On the fly assessments. You can just give all these kind of assessments, assignments online, everything there, right? The quizzes. The next one is that it's a gamified quizzes which you can use in between your classroom presentation, or even a separate session can be done on that. Fine. The next one is the teachers. For this one, the teachers who can create online learning content, they can use all these things like Adobe Spark, wherein they can put their ideas into beautiful stories which they want to give to the students. They can do that. Impactful social graphics, web pages, short videos. Even the students can be given this assignment to make a short video of them for a speaking assignment or anything like that. There are many things like H5P. It's a wonderful HTML advanced one, so that you can use that. There are a list of Quizlet and other things there. These are the list of online contents which the teacher can utilize to make their class a wonderful presentation. The next one that I would like to mention here is the tools for formative feedback tools. For example, if the teacher finishes a presentation and the teacher wants a feedback from the students, you can use these kind of formative feedbacks. You can ask them to log into this, and then you can use that for their feedback. The students can give a feedback, or even the teacher can give a feedback to the students. Okay, using learning by questions or spiral, class flow, or Seesaw. Nearpod is a wonderful way in which collaborative learning can happen between the students and the teachers. For example, if the teacher wants to introduce a kind of a vocabulary word, contextual meaning, before that he can introduce that word and then ask them to think and then give what they think of that word, okay, the meaning or the whatever comes to their mind. So this can be used there like this Nearpod. And other things like a spiral, class flow, everything that gives you formative feedbacks from the student to student you can give, or from the teacher to the student. Okay, like that you can do those things. Okay, we'll move on to the next tool. Collating ideas and content online. Here you have three important things called Google, Vacillate, Zotero. The clear way to share complex information, right? Next is save, organize, share content from across the web. Anything that you want to, for example, if the teacher has given you an assignment and you wanted to browse the web related to that content, you can search in the browser, and then that content you can bookmark, or you can save, or you can organize, so that it organizes for you. Normally we do a bookmark there, but in this, when you save the content, it organizes and it gives you the way how you have to flow through the assignment. Everything is done there for your thing. And here is your Zotero is the next one, which is your personal research assistant. For example, if you are writing a paper or any presentation that you want to do, you can just go into Zotero, log into that, register yourself and log into. And if you search for a keyword there, it gives you a humpty number of research papers, and it gives you the related available in journals, books, and everything on that specific topic that you are searching in, so that it becomes your personal assistant. You can copy all the links and other things in and this Zotero is very useful because the bibliography is automatically created there, and then whatever you refer or whatever you see, that websites and other things, it automatically creates a bibliography of that and puts there in the last page, so that it becomes useful for you to put that into your research. Okay, that's a Zotero. Next one, the surveying tools. Okay, anything that in a presentation or in a class or where there you have a kind of poll. The normal one that is used there in this, I think, Mentimeter. Am I right? I think Mentimeter. So this can be done there by creating a poll and asking a question, and the students can give answers related to that, and then the final result appears on their screen, on the teacher screen, so that the teacher can analyze what the students have responded, like that. So here are a list. I have given you only 3: crowd signal, go soapbox, poll everywhere. All these things you can use it in your virtual classroom for the students to respond, and then you can create a result out of that, so that you can know what the student have understood and other things, right? I think the last surveying tool, that's all. The last surveying tool is voting and other things. So I have come to the end of my presentation. So here in my presentation related to remote learning, we have learned what is remote learning, the difference between remote learning and the online learning, and the paradigm shift that is happening there in the remote learning, and the tools related to the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats that are there in remote learning that we are focused on. And the last point that I have discussed there is the tools related to teachers as well as the students in a virtual learning environment. I have given only a sample list of this. It can be exhaustive. Later on, if you browse according to your student needs and tailor-made, you can just go into that and then you can see that. Okay. Thank you, all the participants and the organizers for patiently listening.
Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, sir. We now have come for discussion. Answer session. Questions already. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
So we have received many questions, sir, but most of those questions were already answered by you in your presentation. So we have chosen only 3 questions, sir.
Okay.
The question number 1 is by Ms. D. Priya. How safe is remote learning is for our children? So that is the first question, sir. How safe do you think remote learning can be for our children?
Remote learning for children, especially for school goers.
Yes, no.
The
My
platform
child,
used by
1 year old is running out. That's the problem. Yes, please, sir. Sorry.
I understand the question, and as a concerned parent, everyone will be having the question in their mind like this. The thing is that some mic is on, I think.
Sir, Gauri Shankar, sir, can you please switch off the mic, sir, so that we can avoid the feedback?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. Fine. As a concerned parent, everyone will be having this question in their mind. I would like to answer this question. It's for the children to learn. The school uses certain platforms like Google Classroom and the Google Meet and other things there. But in spite of that, the parents who are there should have eye on the children's learning there. They also should sit aside along with the children, because what they are seeing, what they are learning, the parent also should have control. And in fact, I would like to mention the point that before switching on their mobile or the laptop, they have to go to the settings. The parents have to go to the settings and switch on the parental control, especially. So if the children are less than 18 years, it will not move to certain websites automatically, or the advertisements will not pop up in. So that kind of thing can be done by the parents in that. That can be a very helpful thing for the parents.
Thank you, sir.
I think I've answered
the next question is from Dr. Yes, sir. The next question is from Dr. Praveen. As an expert in language labs, what is your opinion on the functioning of language labs for remote learning?
Remote learning and the language lab scenario at this current situation will not happen. But the thing is that if the software can be installed in each one of the student system, if it is a licensed version, and that can be installed in their home use, but that normally the schools don't allow that. But in this situation, if they can use that in their systems with the licensed thing, then language laboratory can be used like this. It's not a problem. It cannot be confined to only a small room wherein 30 systems are kept there and then the students can use that. It can be done remotely like this also.
Okay.
According to the network settings that we make, we can do that remotely also. The students can be, provided the student should not share that information to the another person, because it's a paid version.
Yes.
Language laboratories, everything are paid. It should be a mutual consent between the teacher, the institution and the student. That's it.
That, I think, was the primary concern for the person also, sir. So the next question, the last question perhaps, is from Dr. S. Nirmala. Madam asks, what is your comment on the authenticity of assessments for students in remote learning?
Authenticity in the assessments related to reading and listening can be done very promptly by using Google Forms or by using other methods and means of assessment that the teacher is utilizing. But the authenticity related to writing is very difficult. I would like to say that, because all the teachers are facing this. Even the school teachers as well as the college lecturers, all are facing this kind of difficulty in correcting the papers of the students, the assignments, everything done by the students. So it's a little, I would like to say that it's very hard for these technology or even the teachers to do that thing. So it's like a traditional classroom. They have to, in traditional classroom, they collect the papers from the students for correction. But here in the virtual classroom, the students have to send either through Gmail or either as a photo or anything there. The teacher has to naturally download it.
Yes.
Actually download that and use a Paint to correct those things. That's the only thing they can do that.
Thank you, sir. So those are the questions that we have received, sir. So thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, sir. Now we move on to this formal vote of thanks.
Thank you.
Sir, can you please switch on the cameras? Resource person, sir? Okay. Vote of thanks. Respected principal, dear resource person, heads of various departments, members of faculty, and students of LN Government College, and participants from across the country, good afternoon. On behalf of the Department of English and IQAC of LN Government College, I would like to first and foremost extend our warm gratitude to our beloved principal, sir, for constantly encouraging and motivating us in organizing this webinar. Next, I would like to thank the most distinguished academician and the resource person of the event, Dr. ARAVINDAN BALAKRISHNAN, for readily accepting our invitation and delivering a wonderful and inspirational presentation on the much anticipated area of Sir, we are sure your presentation will definitely kindle high dialogues among various stakeholders of higher education. On behalf of the Department of English and IQAC, I would once again thank you for the wonderful session, sir. Next, I would like to thank Dr. S. Manjunathan and all the team members of IQAC for the support they have extended in organizing the event. I raise on record our sincere gratitude to all the staff members of the Department of English for their full-fledged support and cooperation. I should make a special mention on the gratitude we have towards Dr. C.S. Robinson, sir, who got retired recently. We owe much to his insight and enthusiasm. Thank you, sir. Finally, I would like to thank all the participants who have shown tremendous interest in this e-gathering from different parts of the country. Thanks for your continued support. Thank you, one and all.
A final note of thanks
Yes.
to my head of the department, Mr. Sultan Al-Digaishi, head of the center, Nizwa College of Technology, the principal of LN College, the organizers IQAC, and Dr. R. Gauri Shankar, the head of the department, Mr. T. Prabhu, Dr. Manjunathan, sir, all people I thank once again. Thank you for the wonderful session.
Sir, with that, we come to the end of the program. So one interesting information to all the participants. The participants can use the same link to watch the relive of the program after a while. Maybe in half an hour, the relive program will be ready. You can use the same link to view the program relive. And in a day or two, we will upload the same program in YouTube, and the link will be available in our college website so that you can make use of the slides shown in the program. Thank you once again. Thank you.